If you're a business owner feeling stuck, overwhelmed, and ready to grow, you're in the right place. Welcome to Small Business Pivots, where founders share insights, stories, and pivots that lead to sustainable growth. I'm your host, Michael D. Morrison, a business coach helping business owners get unstuck and grow. All right, welcome to another Small Business Pivots where we have special guests from around the world. And today we've got a new topic. We've addressed mental health, we've addressed depression, but we haven't really addressed the health side, keeping your body healthy, intact, which entrepreneurs, you've got to get that adrenaline and stay active. So today our guest is going to talk about that, and he has a book out as well, and he works with some very popular Christian songwriter singers that were, most of us, if you listen to that, you've heard of them. But first, I want you to introduce yourself, Justin, because there might be a few people that don't know you, and maybe your back end story, and just give us a little update of who is Justin?
Yeah, it's so good. Thank you, Michael. It's first off, I love business owners. I love business owners because I am a business owner. So I understand the heart that goes into everything that each and every one of you do. And so today, I hope today blesses you. I hope today is a revelatory conversation, one that kind of speaks not only to your knowledge and wisdom, but to your heart. And one that could help create some change for you. So I grew up in Canada. I grew up in Edmonton. That's way out west, over top of Washington State and Montana. And the thing about my life was everything has been kind of cultivating the moment in which I'm living in today. At 9 years old, I knew that my biggest mission was to help redeem the health of the world. I didn't know what that looked like, but my gosh, I definitely would not have bet on myself having to chase my health for 30 years in order for that to be something that I was able to step into. But everything from obesity to anorexia to liver kidney failure to depression, anxiety, addiction, precancerous polyps in my colon and a bleeding cancerous ulcer in my stomach, being told I wouldn't see 35. All of these things were a culmination of the way I was living, the striving that I had every single day, the desire to serve people at the highest level and do things with a standard of excellence. And my career took me from the National Hockey League as a performance director to a business owner to ultimately now running two teams of 50 plus people serving tens of thousands across the country. And all in the pursuit of finding holistic health, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and the integration that exists there. So my journey was one of continually seeking, continually trying to find how do I serve people in the way I was called, but ultimately the steps that I took to take that oftentimes stole my health, even in the best of circumstances. And that's really what I want to help guide and lead people on today, and know that I'm just a testimony to what living a life fully aligned can actually look like.
Absolutely. And for those that don't have a coach and maybe seeking out a coach, you're the best kind, right? You've walked in their shoes. I'm a business coach. I've owned multiple businesses, and many coaches are just coaching, but they've never really experienced that journey. So how did you make the decision of becoming that particular type of coach, and what is that coaching like?
Yeah, so I think if I go back to it, right, is I knew at 9 years old that that's just what I love to do. I've been born a coach. Even through I just mentioned I'd grown up in Canada, but I was a hockey player and I wanted to play in the NHL. That's all I wanted to do. And every team I found myself on, whether that was junior hockey, whether that was when I came to the States on a hockey scholarship playing in the NCAA, I always ended up being one of the captains, just because I loved the leadership aspect of it. I loved to coach people. I think leadership is not the person who wears the C or the A on their shirt, isn't the one that says boss on their door or CEO. The best leaders are the best coaches. And they're the people who listen. They're the people who are available. They're the people who set a standard and hold the standard. And that's really just what I love to see in myself. And on my journey, I knew that um, I had done things and come across things, and I had this love and this reverence for the human body, how it functioned. And so, two undergraduate degrees, a master's degree, and postgraduate doctoral research, and a stint in functional medicine just literally led me to see the body in a different way. And I saw it from the eyes of a business owner. I saw it from the eyes of a high capacity leader. I saw it from the eyes of things that, like, you heard from people. Oh, you have to eat this way, you have to train this way, you have to sleep this way, you have to recover this way. And I'm just like, this doesn't make sense for 99% of the population. If I'm working a 9 to 5 job and I have few responsibilities, and my days are very predictable, it's easy to be able to settle into rhythm and routine. But when I'm serving people, when I'm a business owner, when I'm raising a family, I'm building people and a business, when my days can be, and I'm traveling, and my days can be volatile. How do I create a structure? How do I build a system that is personalized, proactive from a health related standpoint, so that I can not just optimize my body, but rather build capacity to carry the calling that's on my life, not just for today, but for the long haul? Because I think so many of us, I see it so often, is people start strong, but they don't finish strong. And the starting strong is easy because it's exciting, it's new, it's there's adrenaline and momentum that you can go off of. But the moment that you start to get into it is where you have to have the staying power, the sustaining power, the systems, the structure, to make sure that what it is on your life isn't actually the destruction of your health, which ultimately is the restriction or the constraint on being able to do something longer term.
So, how do you, as a business owner, balance helping others and yourself? Because as a business coach myself, it's like I'm always helping other people. And then I'm like, oh, I got to go run my business too. So,
Yeah.
similar to the health, how do you do that?
Yeah, I think the first thing is you have to get rid of the word balance. There's no balance in life. It's a rhythm. It's a dance. And the only way we're able to understand what the rhythm is when you're able to actually truly know what the priorities are. I give the example oftentimes when, and again, remember, there's a mindset, heart set component to every health conversation. When we're having a health conversation, typically people talk about diet and exercise. That's it. Well, you know what to eat. You know you should eat spinach over the ice cream. You know you should eat a chicken over the deep fried chicken. You know these things, but why don't we do it? We know we should go for the run instead of watching Netflix. We know we should go and get our 10,000 steps instead of being chained to our desk. We know these things. The knowledge is there, but where is the actual limitation of going and doing the habit? It all comes from the heart set mindset. And so I'm going to start with the heart set mindset, which is why mental, physical, spiritual, emotional health are all integrated. You can't separate them. And so the reason that I start and I say it's a rhythm, it's a dance, if all of a sudden I played a rock song and then I started to play a hip hop song and then I started to play a country song, all the rhythms change with the song, but you can still dance to all of them. In our lives, we have seasons that continually change. And what happened is you got used to a rhythm that worked in one season of life, but rather the song changed and you didn't change your rhythm, and thus you're off beat. Things don't seem to work. The things seem to be pulling at you. You seem to be depleted all the time. You have anxiety. You're not sleeping well. You aren't moving well. You seem to have brain fog all the time. You've got this autoimmune disorder that's popped out of nowhere. Your blood pressure's rise for the first time ever. Your blood sugar's high for the first time ever. You've got these rashes that won't go away. You've got this diagnosis that suddenly popped out of nowhere. You've added 30 pounds in the span of the last year. All of these things seem to pop up, but because you're playing on an old blueprint that your body wasn't built to actually carry. And so what we have to do is we have to get clear on what are the priorities in your life. And when I say priorities in your life, priority does not equal time spent. Priority is equal to what comes first. And in my life, this was a critical component. I had just started my first business. It was a 3 month long camp every summer for NHL and American Hockey League players. And I would do it in the summer gap when the season was off. So it was like July and August is when we would host this. And I'd come to Florida. I was working with the Ducks at the time out in Anaheim as a performance director. And as I was doing this little dance and working, I was constantly striving, constantly pushing, constantly serving, never giving myself any downtime. And over the course of 6 years, uh, drove myself to a place where I had this brain fog that wouldn't go away. I had back pain that was all of a sudden coming out of nowhere. I was bloating every time I ate anything, and ultimately was diagnosed with precancerous polyps in my colon and a bleeding precancerous ulcer in my stomach. And the diagnosis was, hey, you're not going to see 35 if you don't change something. And it was this newfound realization that even though on the outside I looked healthy, on the inside, the way my body was operating, habits, behaviors, and life rhythms was decaying everything that was going on. And so I say all of that because I had a coach at the time that said, Justin, your priorities are all out of order. And I said, well, I don't understand how to fix this because I don't have time. And he goes, no, no, no. This doesn't have anything to do with time spent. It has everything to do with what comes first. And so when I looked at it, I had my business as number one. I had myself from a selfish standpoint. How can I get ahead? Probably as number two. My friends and family, maybe number three. My marriage, number four. My faith, number five. And suddenly when I looked back, and I was like, oh, I don't have to spend less time in my business. I just have to shift how I'm doing things. And so faith became number one, my health became number two, my marriage number three, my friends and family four, my business five. And before you look at this and get all anxious about this order, you're like, well, how did your business survive? How did your career not deplete? I didn't spend less time. I changed my order. So now nothing took the place of Sunday church. Nothing took the place of my Sunday mandatory day off every week. Nothing took the place of my men's group every Monday night. Nothing took the place of my 6 a.m. Bible reading. Nothing took the place of my workout after Bible reading. Nothing took the place of my sauna every evening after my workday was over. Nothing took the place of Thursday night date night. Nothing took the place of my Monday morning call with my dad. Nothing took the place of my Friday morning call with my mom. Nothing took the place of our weekly meeting with my wife. Nothing took the place of our quarterly getaway and our annual 10-day vacation. Nothing took the place of those. Those went on the calendar. Those were there. Those were set. Those were my most important things, the big rocks. And lo and behold, my work time never really shifted. I still worked anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day, depending on what the season needed. But I did so from a place of overflow rather from a place of depletion. And it gave me the sustaining power to understand what I was saying yes or no to, dependent upon what the season and day needed from me. And so now I have the ability to continue to change my rhythm based upon the song changing. When all of a sudden the kids came, that's a new song. When all of a sudden the business is expanding, that's a new song. Suddenly when we're hiring more people, that's a new song. Suddenly when the seasons of where we're living, spring, summer, fall, winter change because people have different things going on. You have to be able to change, adapt, and shift. But we have to have a structure and a framework to be able to do that. And then once we have that in place, once we know our priorities, that's when we can start to talk about what habits go into those rhythms. Because a lot of us try to set new habits in old distorted rhythms. It's like in science says that can't work, but in scripture, that you try to put new wine into old wineskins. It will not work. We've known this. And so how do we create new rhythms? We have to start with first priorities. And once we have our new rhythms, that's when your habits can continue to shift and change. And that's when we can start talking about cellular health and what habits are meaningful for you and me based upon the time in which we have to operate in them.
How essential is it understanding the food groups, the workouts, and all that to get a full transformation?
It's
Is
incredibly important because that's why I always say, if you're wanting to see progress in something, you probably need a person. I'll say that again. If you want to see progress in something, you probably need a person. And so if you want to see progress in your business, you could go about it yourself, but it's probably going to take you a lot of time and a lot of errors and a lot of difficulty. That's why they hire somebody like you, Michael, because when you hire a person, they're going to time collapse the duration in which it needs to actually happen. It's going to eliminate some of the errors. No different than, hey, if I'm needing to actually rectify my health, if I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, if I'm sick and tired of the brain fog, if I'm sick and tired of the weight gain and the lack of energy and the inability to sleep and the anxiety and the overwhelm and the autoimmune and the bad blood work every time I go to the doctor, which is why I don't go to the doctor, if I'm sick and tired of that, you can try to go figure it out on your own, but my gosh, it would be a heck of a lot simpler if you hired a person to help you guide and understand. Because I've spoken so many times, I've spoken over 80 times a year for the last 4 years to different entrepreneurial groups around the world. And I've noticed 5 key traits of business leaders and entrepreneurs that steal their health. Number one is that there's this skepticism and doubt. And skepticism and doubt is important. It's what's helped you start your business. It's why you do what you do. But because you're not a health expert and you don't know what to do next, all of a sudden what's ended up occurring is you have skepticism and doubt about what everybody's saying because there's so much contradictory information. So you're like, hey, I don't know what the truth is anymore. So I'm just going to stay and do what I always do. I'm going to go for that 2 mile run every day. I'm going to go and just pick up my 20-pound dumbbells and do curls and presses. And that's my routine I do every day. But I don't see any progress. I just stay right where I am and I get frustrated and then I give up on it because it's obviously not working. So skepticism and doubt is that first thing. It's a lack of trust and confusion. Number two is we have this performance identity, is that we have our identity tied up in how well we do, how much we perform, how much we win. And because that's where our identity is, we're ultimately put a higher level of priority on the things that we think we can win at. I'm a great dad. I'm a great mom. I'm a great leader. I'm a great business owner. I'm a great whatever. And so that will always take the priority of our health because, man, I've never won there. I don't find success there. In fact, I'm actually a beginner. In fact, I actually don't know necessarily what I'm doing. And so it makes its way down the priority list, down the totem pole, and thus we end up in a place where we've completely neglected it at the end of the day. The third is that we numb ourselves with comforts. We are giving, and what I call us being in the first chair syndrome. Every room we walk into, we're in the first chair. We have to make all the decisions. We have to solve the problems. We have to come up with the creative ideas. We have to figure out what direction to go in. And because of that, we end up in this space of when we finally get a moment to relax, when we finally get a moment to ourselves, we just want to escape from the life that we're in because we don't want to make another decision. We don't want to better ourselves. We don't want to figure it out. And it ends up in a mindless scroll on Instagram. It ends up in a YouTube or Netflix binge. It ends up with just sending more emails late at night instead of actually going to bed and getting a good night's sleep. These are the things that we do to escape the ways that we're feeling. The fourth is we have this mentality that rest time is wasted time and you're too important to recover and you're too busy to rest. And that mentality ends up stealing from us. But it's very, very important what I'm about to say next, that rest is not wasted time. Rest is a weapon only when understood how to use properly. You see, rest is not scrolling on Instagram or Netflix binging or just laying on the couch in exhaustion. True rest is filling back up, things that fill you, things that give you energy. It's probably meditation, breath work, reading, hanging out with your family and being present, doing something from a space of joy, going in for a walk in nature, going and working out, going and sitting in a sauna, going and doing something that fills you up, that gives you energy and replenishes everything that you've done and has just poured out. And then the last thing is that burnout thrives in self-isolation. And the thing about being at the top, being the person who signs the front of the check, not the back of the check, is that there are certain pressures that come with these roles. And what happens is because we don't have a safe place to communicate how we're doing, not, hey, we have a leadership issue, not any of this. We can talk about those in business settings all the time. But what we don't say is, hey, you know what? My confidence left me like 5 years ago. Hey, you know what? Like, I haven't been able to lose the 50 pounds for the last 10 years. I've been saying it, but I haven't done it. I haven't slept well in a long time. And because we hang out with other business owners, because we hang out with other people that have the identity of business owner, they can relate, they cannot help. And so what happens is we stay in this space of self-isolation where burnout continues to thrive, and it only pulls us down further and further and further. But until we shine some light on it, we realize, man, my solution is pretty simple, but I do need a person to help get me out of the repetitive nature in which I'm in.
You're listening to Small Business Pivots with Michael D. Morrison. If you're ready to get your business unstuck and grow, let's chat. Schedule your free session at michaeldmorrison.com. Now back to the show. How long does it take before someone starts seeing results? And I know that's really based on how much they put into it, but if they do follow a rhythm, when will they start seeing results?
With the thousands of people we work with, just the way that we operate, we see transformative results and feedback within about 4 weeks. We walk with people, our programs, we walk with people for 18 months because to see a full transformation, something that is rhythmic, we have to go through some of these changes with you, and we have to do it over the course of a long period of time. But within 4 weeks, people are always like, all of a sudden, like, I can't believe that I've been living this way for so long. I can't believe that this is what good feels like. I can't believe that I was missing out on this for all this time. I can't believe that these small changes have these massive impacts and influences. And so in as little as 4 weeks, you're able to see some really powerful transformative results.
What type of accountability do you use for entrepreneurs specifically? Because we see in that space, when entrepreneurs reach out, they're all excited. Everything's new. It's fresh. They're on a honeymoon. And then they're like, this is a lot of work. This is stuff I'm not used to. And they just kind of slowly slide back into their old habits. So accountability, or maybe some tips, insights that could help them not do that?
Yeah. So I think, again, this is just where we've created something I think very unique. And when we started our company, we always came from the framework of we wanted to be different than everybody else. And especially in the health space, you hear people who say, hey, yeah, we do coaching and we'll do coaching once a month. That's not coaching. That's a check-in. And what true coaching is building a relationship. Because, Michael, I'll ask you, when's the last time that you felt deep level of accountability to somebody by having a once a month call?
Yeah, it'd be never. Yeah,
exactly. And that's oftentimes where people say, yeah, I've got an accountability coach. We meet once a month. No, that's not an accountability coach. That's somebody who's trying to scale a business because meeting with you once a month allows them to have more clients. What we've wanted to do is we want to build true relationship and journey with you, disciple you. True coaching happens daily because to be a coach, again, I come from the National Hockey League. I come from elite sport. It wouldn't be right if we said, okay, guys, here's the game plan. We're going to coach you once a month. Now you guys go and practice it on your own. Go and show up for the games, and then we'll come back and we'll see what worked next month and we'll make some changes. No. We're with them daily. We're changing things. We're recorrecting as they do them. And that's what we have to do when we're actually walking with you is, hey, you have a flight coming up this Friday. You're going from New York City to LA. There's a 3-hour time change. Here's the game plan for how you're going to change time zones well. Here's what you're going to do on the plane. Here's what you're going to do with you once you land. And we've changed your workout plan in your app based upon what you have available in the hotel that you're staying in. Once you get on the plane, hey, here's the game plan. Here's what you're doing. How did that feel? Oh, it felt amazing. It felt so good. Now I don't feel like I have 3-hour jet lag. Okay, we're going to stop eating 3 hours before bed. We're going to stay on our Eastern time zone while we're out in LA. Okay, cool. That means that I'm not eating dinner at the usual 7 o'clock time that I would when everybody's having the business dinner at 7 p.m. because it's 10 p.m. Eastern time. So, hey, I'm going to make some slight adjustments to my habits tonight. And that relationship, that dialogue back and forth with you and your coach daily is what's allowing for the success to multiply at an expeditious speed because you're not having to figure it out yourself through error. You're getting the guidance real time so you can actually live it out and feel it. Because here's the thing, everybody will say they want longevity, they'll say they want health span, but these are just like buzzwords that people are saying, not really understanding what they mean. You don't want longevity. What you really want is you want to get out of the way that you're feeling at this very moment. And so by saying you want longevity, it gives you the thought that, man, there must be something better down the road. Maybe I can feel better in a year, in 2, in 5, if I did this one thing. But in fact, I've seen it in real time thousands of times where somebody changes their habit and behavior real time in the day and they are able to experience what longevity feels like in the moment, which only starts to exponentially increase their adherence, their consistency, and their conviction that what they're doing is actually working well.
So, can you give us some examples of any entrepreneurs that have come to you? They've gone through this transformation.
Sure.
What are they feeling? What do they say? Just so entrepreneurs that aren't into the health right now, they kind of dream about, oh, I need to get on this.
Yeah, there's, I think, I can, I'll give you a few stories.
Yeah.
Okay. Stories tell the best. And then I'll summarize it all at the end. So, a first story is I still remember I was speaking at a CEO event in Atlanta, and there was about 100 people in the room, and we were doing this workshop where I had asked people to write down the vision that they had for their health. And as they wrote down their vision, we were about probably 20 minutes into the workshop, and everything was going great. And then as I asked them to do this exercise, this one woman right to the front left of me, I'll never forget, she suddenly put down her pen. She wasn't writing. She seemed to disengage. She looked a little frustrated. And we'll call her Cindy just for the sake of conversation here. I said, Cindy, can you tell me what's going on? She's like, I hate this exercise. I said, okay, awesome. Why? And she goes, it's dumb. It's stupid. She goes, I've served people my entire life. My entire life. I've been in business for 25 plus years. She goes, we finally went on this vacation. We went to Hawaii. I had my whole family, had 14 of us. And we're sitting at the base of a waterfall. My family said, hey, let's hike to the top. Let's get a family photo. 30 seconds into the hike, I had to turn around. She goes, I've put on 40 pounds over the course of the last year. I've entered into perimenopause. I don't know what's going on with my body anymore. I have zero agency over it anymore. I've been put on these 4 medications that I don't know what they do. I've got autoimmune disorders popping out of nowhere. And I've got this vertigo that continues to keep coming, and I get dizzy, so I didn't feel comfortable going up and down. I've served my family the whole entire life, and thus the only time that I actually want to be present with them, my body fails me because I don't know what the hell's going on anymore. And I said, wow, I'm so sorry that you're feeling that way. And we were blessed to go on a journey with her for 18 months. And I get emotional every time I tell the story. But about 6 months ago, I got a text message, and it was a picture of a family at the top of a waterfall. There's only 6 of them, not 14. And she goes, I just want to thank you for changing my life because I finally have agency and freedom that I've been seeking. And I want to finish that exercise for you. She goes, the vision for my health is that I will never have my best yes held back from being able to do what I want to do. I want to have the freedom. And my health is the first thing that comes with that. And so that's one of those stories that I think helps us see, like, it's all about agency. It's all about understanding this thing we live in so that you can no longer have it consume your life, but rather you can have it be an asset in your life and be it something that continues to drive things forward. Another example is every year we bring down 200 people down to Miami, and we do what's called Testimony Day. And we just have all these people down. We celebrate everything that's happened. We bring people into the studio in here, and they tell their stories as to what was going on. And there was this individual. His name is Dustin. And Dustin came to us about 60 pounds overweight, pre-diabetic, was on testosterone, trying to find energy, had 27 supplements he was taking every single day. And he had 5 kids, all under the age of 10, I believe. And he was just like so emotional. And he sat down, and I said, Dustin, where's the emotion come from? He goes, dude, 18 months ago, I had all these supplements. I was just diagnosed type 2 diabetic. I had fatty liver disease, all these things kind of going on. He goes, today, I'm down 60 pounds. I no longer have fatty liver disease. I'm no longer pre-diabetic. I'm off testosterone. I'm off my statin. My supplements, I'm down to 2. I feel like I have agency over my health again. But he goes, most importantly, something you guys don't know is we live in North Carolina, but we bought our dream house in Telluride about 6 years ago. And with all my kids, I would watch them get their snow clothes on, get their snow skis and their boots and their snowboards, and they go with my wife and the rest of the family and go skiing. And I'd sit at home and I'd watch because that life wasn't available to me.
Hmm.
He goes, about 2 weeks ago, we went and rebought everything for everybody for this upcoming season. And for the first time, I bought all of my stuff.
Wow.
And you're giving me my life back. You're giving me my ability to see life in full color and full volume. And so people get the best yes from me because I have my health back. And so I say those stories because that's what people get by coming through and being experienced and being able to walk in what we do, being able to have a truly personalized, proactive, preventable approach to health that is done and built for the business owner, for the entrepreneur, for the people who do not have the regular 9 to 5, that do not have the regular everyday job, but rather something that is very sporadic. Somebody who sits in the first chair and is serving others and has roles, responsibilities, signs the front of the check, not the back of the check, the unique pressures that come with that. And how do we build a life by design that's sustainable, that's based around what your body needs right down to the cellular level, but even past the cellular level to the seasonal level of which you live in with your family rhythms. And that's really what we pride ourselves on being able to do, and why thousands have trusted us to be able to get them there. And it's just been such an honor and a privilege to see their results. And I say I have the best seat in the world because I get to see miracles happen every single day.
Yeah, those are powerful, and I've walked in those shoes before. At my age, many years ago, not being able to be outside with my kids playing basketball. I mean, I could go out there and shoot a few hoops, but actual play as they started getting older and couldn't even ride a bike down the end of the street to the end of the neighborhood, and it really does make a difference. So I encourage all of our listeners, entrepreneurs, leaders, whoever you are, everybody, even if you're not a business owner, take care of your health and look into this. And you have some books, right? So let's talk about those.
Yeah, Holy Health is the new one coming out August 11th. You can find it and pre-order it at holyhealthbook.com. We've got a really cool book launch coming up in New York City on August 11th. And if you go to holyhealthbook.com, there's a whole bunch of free gifts and giveaways if you pre-order things that from the entrepreneurial blueprint to workshop that I'm going to do live with everybody who pre-orders, and it's going to be pretty powerful. So I suggest you go there. But really what Holy Health is about is how do we use our health as worship? What does it look like to steward our health in a powerful way so that we can really build capacity to carry the calling that's on our life? And the way that the book's set up, it's kind of unique, is it starts with who are you? Like, what's the identity of which you walk from? And then once we know who you are, we get into what you were called to do. Like, what habits do we have to start to implement? What habits are personalized and proactive to you based around the season of life you're in? And then we help you actually create the rhythms in your life. So how do we establish daily rhythms, weekly rhythms, monthly rhythms, and quarterly rhythms? What do those rhythms look like so we can start to now have something, a framework that you can police and you can monitor and you can actualize that become sustainable. And lastly, experience why. Why do we do this? This is legacy work. This is noble work. This is work that is going to provide foundation for what your kids are going to do. This is how we change a family, how we change a household, how we change a community, how we change a team, and ultimately how we change the world eventually. And so that's what Holy Health is really all about, integrating, again, scripture and science so that it is a marriage that allows us to have a really powerful, clear, and concise way about what this means for us.
Scripture is powerful. That is for sure. So how can someone find out more about you? I know from time to time our guests have other channels where there's just tons of content and information. What's the best places to follow you and connect with you?
Yeah, so if anybody's wanting to know more about, hey, how do I do this for myself? What does this look like? You can go to ownitcoaching.com and just schedule a call with our team there. They'll sit down and they'll literally just get to understand you. What season of life are you in? What are you struggling with? What wins are you trying to get? And what is the obstacle in the way? And to ultimately then see how we can best serve you. So that's ownitcoaching.com. And then if you go to Instagram, at Justin Roth, that is my Instagram handle. You'll find my podcast there. You'll find a whole bunch of resources that exist there that you'll be able to take in, a whole bunch of information that we can serve you as the business leader, the entrepreneur, the high capacity leader, so that you can ultimately heal at the cellular level and ultimately have capacity to carry the calling that's on your life.
Fantastic. Well, I encourage our listeners to check it out. Health, wellness is very powerful. And if you find yourself sluggish, kind of in a funk, this can really, really, really help. I always kind of end with a question, but today there might have been something that we didn't address. I know from time to time I've been on a podcast and I'm like, I really wanted to talk about X or B
Sure.
or whatever. Anything that we haven't talked about today that you'd like to leave our audience with?
Honestly, I think we addressed a lot of things and we dove in, and I just pray that it's meaningful for people. But I think the big thing that I just want to leave people with is I like to say I'm a hope dealer. And so if you've lost hope, if you think that you're stuck, this is just what life is. This is what being an entrepreneur is all about. This is best as it gets. This is just what 50-60 looks like. I want to speak life over you and tell you that your body was created to heal. 30 trillion cells operate through your body. 500 million of those become brand new every 84 days. That means every 5 to 7 years, you become a completely brand new cellular human being, which means that you have the opportunity to heal. I've seen it in my life. I've seen cancer disappear. I've seen polyps disappear. I've seen organs come back to life. I've seen mental health restored. I've seen all of these things happen in my own life, but also thousands of times in other people's lives. And so whatever it is that you're going through, the autoimmune disorder, the inability to sleep, the anxiety, the diagnosis that you were disappointed in and that you think is now a prison sentence, all of these things are reversible. All of these things are changeable. All of these things are impacted by your habits, your behaviors, your rhythms. And so by living differently, you're going to get a different outcome, and that outcome is available to you. And the best place to start is right here. And so just want to speak that over each person who feels like they're too far gone, they can't get it back. That's a lie from the pit of hell. And you were created to heal, created to thrive. But God's just asking you to live differently.
Yep. Amen. Well, Justin, I appreciate you. You've been a blessing to many, a wealth of information, and I wish you continued success.
Appreciate it, Michael.
You bet. Thanks for listening to Small Business Pivots. If you're ready to get unstuck and grow, schedule your free coaching session at michaeldmorrison.com. On social media, you can find and connect with me using the handle Michael D. Morrison OKC. And if today's episode helped you, subscribe and share it with other business owners. Until next week, keep pivoting.